Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the most eagerly anticipated intercontinental booze and schmooze that you can currently find online across Breeders' Cup's entire family of social media channels. You are welcome. Welcome by me, Nick Luck, in Teddington, Southwest London, by Britney Eurton in Los Angeles, California, looking bright and breezy as ever, 3 o'clock Pacific time, with some roses in your beautiful shop, Britney. Good evening, good afternoon.
We're coming up to the first Saturday in May. What would have been the Derby, so I feel like I have to have at least some red roses. That was the best intro you've given us. You're feeling pepped up and ready, aren't you?
It may be 7 p.m. where I am, but, you know, I am a bit of a night owl, so I'm quite happy. I'm going to make a cocktail with the 21 Club, Mark Tubridy in Brooklyn. He has not left that apartment for 7 weeks, but amazingly, he still looks full of color. Mark, good evening.
I try to pull up all that energy, all that color for you guys. But yeah, it's been mostly just here in the house. I'm trying to cook. I don't cook nearly as well as I make drinks, so I'm trying to, weigh that out. But, I'm making an effort. So that's the best we can do.
My cooking should go uphill, but the cooking's gone downhill the longer this quarantine goes on for.
Right. I'm excited that we'll be making a drink together tonight, Nick, though. This is a good one, a Kentucky Mule, so one of my favorites.
We are. I have my drinks tray ready. I've got the Maker's Mark bourbon right here, the ginger ale in here, and my fresh lime to go as well. So looking forward to trying to emulate what Britney did last week. And Britney, if you'd said to me 5 weeks ago when we started this already highly acclaimed season that we would be trying to say that with a straight face.
I know you couldn't even get through it.
That we would be welcoming on the same telecast multiple Emmy Award winners, Eclipse Award winners, champion jockeys, Hall of Famers, NHL stars, and Lafitte Pincay all on the same program. What would you have said to me?
I would say, I don't believe you. There's no way. We can't get all of those people in one show. But will we?
And they happen to be our NBC Sports horse racing family. And it's great not being with each other this week that we can be with each other through this medium.
Yeah, I couldn't be more thrilled. I mean, it's tough that today would be Thurby. We would be celebrating with the locals out underneath the Twin Spires at Churchill Downs, and obviously prepping for Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby. So life is very different right now, but at least we have this way of connecting with each other and celebrating what's hoping to be an incredible first Saturday in September. I think we are priming ourselves for one of the best Kentucky Derbies we've ever seen.
And we should get the news right out there now that the racing at Churchill Downs will begin in the second week of May behind closed doors. Governor Beshear announced this week. So that's a huge boost for the Kentucky horse racing industry.
Wow.
Absolutely. And in regards to Santa Anita, the Stronach Group did announce that a condition book would come out today, and they are hoping to get up and running by May 15th. That is, of course, when the stay-at-home orders here in California end. But obviously that revolves around whether or not we can continue to flatten the curve, lower the curve. So they wanted to give the horsemen in Southern California some hope with a date. So May 15th, that hopeful date.
And big news is that the Arkansas Derby, which we've been looking forward to for so many weeks, goes ahead on the NBC SN TVG simulcast this weekend on Saturday that you'll be fronting.
Very much so. Looking forward to that. 2 divisions of the Arkansas Derby. Bob Baffert, to no surprise, has an incredible 1-2 punch. Charlatan in the first division, and Nadal, named after tennis player Rafael Nadal, in the second division. Both are undefeated, look to stay undefeated. So we look forward to that, and we'll have this show from 3 to 5 Pacific time on NBC Sports Network and TVG.
And, of course, the special Kentucky Derby party broadcast, which we'll be hearing about a little bit later on.
Oh, yeah. Looking forward to that. A virtual Kentucky Derby with the 13 Triple Crown winners.
Wow.
Yeah,
who's your pick?
The spring meet, I should just confirm, the spring meet of Churchill Downs will commence Saturday, May 16th, as things stand at the moment, which is great news. You can donate, of course, at home through Cocktails and Conversation. You have already helped us at Breeders' Cup to raise over $30,000 for really important charities. We're hoping to build that through the series through the year. BreedersCup.com/donate. 3 great charities: the Racetrack Chaplaincy of America, a purpose to minister to the spiritual, emotional, physical, social, educational needs of the workers within the horse racing industry. The COVID-19 relief campaign for the Bartender Emergency Assistance Program. Mark, tell us a bit more about that.
It's just an incredible way to offer support to people in the hospitality industry, specifically bartenders. And there have been so many great, generous donations on the part of liquor distributors and companies, and they're really reaching out to the people that try our best all year long to support those brands. So, you know, it's incredible. It's keeping us going. I've applied for a grant. Many people that I know have done so as well. So your generous donations help feed into that beautiful effort to keep us going until we can get back behind proper bars, not just this island in my kitchen.
It's a lovely island, though.
Thank you.
Let's welcome our first guest, Britney.
Can we please?
We can. I'm longing to. 5.5 minutes has been too long for us to be chatting away, but we want to. He needs no introduction. We're lucky enough to work with him. He is the broadcasting legend that is Mr. Mike Tirico, with a very handsome Kentucky Derby trophy right over your left shoulder. Mike, good evening.
Nick,
hey,
Britney,
Mike.
Mark, it's good to see everyone. I don't have the cocktail connecting skills that Mark does, so I've just got a little Woodford Reserve here with a big ice cube because it is Derby week. This is the best I can do on short order. So cheers to all of you.
Cheers to you, Mike.
Nothing wrong with that, Mike. Nothing wrong with that. Cheers.
To good health, to a good hour, and I hope everyone can donate, as Nick was talking about as well. It's bad luck not to drink.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
So I'll make sure I did that. Yeah, Nick, Britt, this is the actual trophy for this year's Kentucky Derby, and it is engraved with the date May 2nd, 2020 on it. It will be part of the show that we're doing here from our NBC Sports Midwest Bureau, which is also known as the other side of the desk in my home office. We'll be doing a show on Saturday with Jerry Bailey and Randy Moss, and we'll be going back and reliving American Pharoah, starting the Triple Crown run with leg one at the Derby of 2015. It was a great day. It was a wonderful race and the start of history. So we'll go back and retrace that and also freshen things up, talking about the Arkansas Derby, as you all were, and where we are in horse racing right now. And we'll fill the first Saturday in May with hopes that we can break out Britney's new hats and everything else for the first Saturday in September, 4 months away.
I've got nothing, no hats, but what's the security detail looking like with that piece of hardware in your house?
I've got the white gloves. So Nick, I don't know if there's a second purpose for these, perhaps, in these times.
You're a resourceful man, Mike, if nothing else. So you can double up your security gloves with your COVID gloves, and you're well sorted for the next few weeks. How's it been broadcasting from home for the last 4 or 5 weeks?
It has been bizarrely odd. Here's the good news. I'm on my third wardrobe change of the day. I had to do our show this morning, actually fourth. I do our show this morning. I had to do 2 different Zoom calls this afternoon and this tonight. So I figured I'll keep changing jackets because I haven't worn things. It's making me shower every day, which is very fabulous. So
this is good hygiene.
Yeah, I'd say I'm above the average of most Americans on showers per week. I've shaved 4 times a week, so that I'd also say is probably more than most, certainly more than you, Mark. With that, is that a regular deal for you, or is this a COVID only?
This is a COVID only. You know, I work at the 21 Club, and we have a strict no facial hair policy. So this is only in the case of lockdowns and bizarre circumstances. But I'm enjoying it while I can, and then it will be disappearing as soon as I return to work. So,
well, I feel like that's a trend right now. Yeah, I've seen everybody with the beards. But Mike, I apologize. I did not change a second time for you. You saw me in the same clothes this morning.
This is the way
Mike, you're going to be ready
on our show today.
Yeah, you're going to be ready to host the Grammys with those wardrobe changes.
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of run over, change wardrobe. I should, every segment of the show one of these days, just change and see if anybody notices. That'll tell us if no one is actually watching. But it has been, I will say this, this all goes without saying. We're trying to laugh and have some fun. We know what's real. We know what's important. We know that our healthcare workers, not just here, the NHS, where you are, Nick, how they are the real heroes, the people who are keeping supplies going and all those things that we may have taken for granted. Teachers who are far more appreciated now as everyone tries to homeschool a little bit. All of those folks. We know what's really important right now, but I will say that this opportunity to do some different things and to be busy 5 days a week and have conversation with everyone from the president of the NCAA to Adam Wainwright, a pitcher for the St. Louis Cardinals, to Britney within a half hour is just cool. And we don't normally get a chance to do this. So as a sports geek like me, this has been an absolute blast to do albeit a substitute for what we really want to be doing right now.
Mike, how have you seen? I was just going to say, how have you seen people, companies pivot in a time like this? Because many aren't used to doing things either on social media or from your home. How quickly did you see your group, your team, and others pivot to the new circumstances we're under?
Our NBC group was amazing, Britney. You're all experiencing that, doing the TVG shows, the Trackside Live that simulcast on NBC the last few weekends. You've seen how that's working with everyone working remotely, yet the broadcasts are as smooth as you could ever imagine, given the circumstances. Same here. You know, we slapped together a show when the Olympics were postponed to try to hear from Olympians, and it went so well that we said, well, maybe we can do this a little more often, and it's turned into an everyday show on NBCSN. I think we're all finding appreciation for the things we have in life that we take for granted. We're finding an internal resiliency that maybe we forgot we had from our younger days, but we're finding ways to get things done. And I think as a country, we're all pulling together. We're getting resources like the auto plants and their manufacturing lines have turned into producing PPE. And there was a great 60-minute story on how GM and Ford are producing ventilators just like this. In a month's time, they've turned this around. We're all finding that spirit within that technology maybe has allowed us to take for granted, but now we're digging in and holding on. And the other thing that's been great, and I don't know what you all are experiencing, but being home. We've got kids who are college age and the end of high school, and we're all sitting around the dinner table having dinners that we wouldn't be having because one's at college, one's off to high school practice. I'm off at the Derby with you all knuckleheads. My wife's got some of the things that she's involved with in the community. Instead, every night we're around the house having a good time, which is a lot better than listening to Ed Olczyk's stories for the 8th or 9th time that he doesn't realize he's telling for the 8th or 9th time. But it's a great
celebrating somebody's birthday when it's not.
You know, by the way, everybody should wish Enzo a happy birthday when he gets on because it is his birthday. No, it's not.
Oh,
nearly.
Nearly I missed that?
Mike, just in terms of what should be happening this week, the Kentucky Derby, you've hosted just about every great sporting event there is to host. Where does it rank for you in the few years that you've been hosting the Derby?
Well, there's the power of the Derby, Nick. I would never be sipping on a little bit of Woodford Reserve here on a show at 6 o'clock at night. But I did, and immediately Mark and Britney went for their drinks, which just shows you the power of the Derby. It's a party that everybody wants to be a part of, right? It's a couple of things. It's an unbelievable sporting event. It brings together so many different people. The people who are in the infield would never have a conversation with the people who are on Millionaires Row where you like to hang out, Nick. But together, and you saw both sides of it as you've covered the Derby with us, they're all there for the same thing, brought together by one event. And especially now, in a time where we have no idea when we're going to all come together in a place like that or in numbers like that, you look back at it with great appreciation, and now you understand why it's so special. And I did start to peek through my phone the other day because I'm thinking about Saturday afternoon around 6 o'clock, and we've been on the air for 3.5, 4 hours, whatever it is, and closer to 7 than 6 actually. And the horses, as they leave the starting gate, Larry Coleman says they're off in the Kentucky Derby, and he just brings a smile to your face when you hear that. And then here they come, 20 strong around that sweeping first turn, and where our set is, and Brittany and Nick, you guys know this, where our set is, they're coming right at you. And every year that I've done the Derby, I take that picture of the horses coming around the first turn, framed by the Twin Spires and all those fans. And I'm going to be really sad on Saturday that we don't get to experience that, because it's one of the great moments in sports. Because in a minute and 35 later, there's going to be a horse that's talked about forever. The Kentucky Derby winner every year is mentioned when the next Derby comes by. And the people who know this sport can reel them off like this. And some horse is going to have that moment in about 90 seconds, all the human connections. I'm going to miss that so much. And all of that wrapped up in one thing. That's what American events are about, Nick. And it's going to stink not having it this Saturday. But like you said before, Britt, hopefully that first Saturday in September is going to bring us all of that one more time.
Absolutely. You can hear it in your voice and the way that you talk about it, that you're a fan. I was so blown away when I first met you, and you had said that you had TVG on your TV in your office, and that's how you prep. Do you enjoy the process as much?
That TV there, where Ari Melber is now live on MSNBC. We have Britney Eurton in that TV. Yeah, as we were getting ready for the Derby, and I started doing this. I just wanted to really connect for the first time with the sport and with the people who are about the sport. And it's hard not to love, especially when you can throw a couple of bucks in there and figure it out. And it really started for me pre-Derby when I had the chance to host the Breeders' Cup the year before that. And just to see it in person, to be this close to the best in any sport. If you love competition, you love games, you can't help but be filled with adrenaline when you think about it and talk about it. So I'm excited to get back to it. And this weekend's going to be fun. I'm going to tell you, the show's Saturday, 3 to 6. Rob Hyland, our executive producer, Lizzie Shanzer, the rest of our team, they've put together a great 3 hours. That's not just put the tape in and let's go back and watch American Pharaoh. There's a lot of stuff in there that I think you're all going to love. So I hope you folks, if you're around Saturday afternoon before watching the Arkansas Derby, can join us for that on NBC.
Oh, I can't wait to watch it.
I can't wait. Mike, thanks so much. You've got a little tipple on the go now. You were saying to us, are you a cocktail man as a rule?
I'm not. I'm really not. I am a beer and wine guy at dinner usually, and that's usually where I stop. But because of the Derby, it's when in Rome, and I've started to really enjoy bourbon. So, Mark, I'm going to go back and watch the prior episodes. I want to take some notes. I want to be able to walk downstairs and impress my guests with, if we ever have guests again, I want to impress them.
Eventually, Mike.
Hey, you know 21 Club in New York? Well, the best bartender there, he taught me how to do this. If I can just drop that conversation, then I'll feel like I know what I'm doing.
And if I can say that Mike Tirico said that about me, then I can drop that in conversations too. So
I mean, it's not true, but it sounds great, Mike.
And honestly, Nick, you're British, so isn't that the whole key? What you say may not mean a damn thing, but how it sounds translates to the quality which the way people hear it.
I knew I'd get busted one day. I've been waiting about 12 and a half years, and it's taken a legend of the game to smoke me out. Mark Tubridy with his first cocktail of the night.
Absolutely, guys. So in the first few weeks, we were talking a lot about classic cocktails. So I really wanted to show you guys the original recipes as well as give you history for each of those cocktails. There are many cocktails, though, like the cucumber martini, that are mostly sort of left up to preference, and it's very subjective. So what I'm going to do is show you how I make my cucumber martinis, and which is a very standard way to do it, and then you can always improvise off of that. So we're going to have a lot of fun. It's a great cocktail. Let me show you what you're going to need. Of course, our Tito's Handmade Vodka.
All right.
We're going to need some fresh lime juice. Now remember, with citrus juices, we always want to do that day of, because those juices will oxidize and we will lose some of that flavor over time. So fresh is always best. We're going to be doing some simple syrup. I know I pointed it out last week. This is a great item to have on hand for your home cocktails, because I think we've used it in maybe 4 or 5 cocktails already during the show. So it's a very versatile ingredient.
And it's just sugar and water, right?
Yeah, it's equal parts sugar and water. You just put that on the pot and stir it until the sugar dissolves. And a standard simple syrup, meaning 1-to-1 sugar to water, will last in your refrigerator about 2 weeks. And if you do a richer syrup, so 2 parts sugar to 1 part water, that will last about a month. So if you don't make as many cocktails, you can do it that way, and it'll keep a little bit longer.
So Mark, if I go and get a bottle of simple syrup from the store, how much is it going to alter my drink?
It's probably going to be about the same taste-wise, but it's one of those things where simple syrup, if you go to buy in the store, you're going to spend at least $5 to $6, and the cost of making it at home is so easy. So, once you do it once at home, you'll realize it's very simple preparation, and it'll save you some money as well. And then also you can get really creative with it.
4 ingredients, that's it.
For this cucumber martini, it's 4 ingredients. Yeah, the simple syrup is just that equal parts sugar and water. So the last ingredient, of course, is going to be our fresh cucumber that we've kind of sliced and cubed here. And again, you can elaborate. We'll talk about this a little bit later on about how to kind of jazz up this cucumber martini. But I think it's always great to kind of learn the basic way and then improvise off of that, like a musician learning the scales and then improvising afterwards.
Sometimes less is more.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're going to start by adding those cucumber slices. It's about an inch worth of cucumber that we've sliced and cubed, and that's going to go directly into our mixing tin. Now we are going to muddle this, so you're going to want a muddler, or if you don't have one of these, you can use a heavy wooden spoon as well. And we were talking about this in the South Side episode when we were talking about how to muddle herbs, gentle herbs like mint. And it was more of a gentle muddle, sort of caressing the oils out of there. This, we even named a horse after it.
Yes.
Gentle muddle. Now this is going to be a different type of muddle, so we need a new name for this one. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But here the goal is to extract the juices from the cucumber. So if you're doing cucumber or fruit like raspberries or strawberries, this is a more forceful motion. So I'm really pushing down to extract.
I'm not sure if forceful muddle is a good horse name, so we'll work on that.
Forceful muddle? No, I don't think so.
I think you can get arrested for that.
Yeah, exactly. It'll come together. We'll know it when we hear it. So we're going ahead and muddling that cucumber to extract those juices. And now we are going to add 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. So remember, we always, when we build a cocktail, we start with the less expensive ingredients first. So if we do make a mistake, we're not tossing out the really good stuff. So let's go ahead and do 3/4 of an ounce. And we're going to balance that with 3/4 of an ounce of our simple syrup.
Simple enough.
Beautiful.
That's it.
I'm a big fan of the cucumber martini. I believe I requested this, so thank you for it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, this is a really good one. You know, we did the espresso martini last week, and like that, the cucumber martini has this, I don't want to say viral effect given what's going on, but if you see one of them on the bar, people do kind of say, hey, I kind of forgot about that. And then they start to order it. And before you know it, the whole bar is full of them. So finally, we're going to
represent spring and summer as well.
It does. Absolutely. Yeah, when you see a cucumber martini, you're not going to see too many people ordering that in a, you know, the midst of a chilly winter. But as soon as the warmer months come out, it's a fantastic drink to enjoy. So we're going to add our 2 ounces of Tito's vodka. All right. Now, you may remember from prior weeks that what we just did there is a classic sour ratio. So we did 2-part spirit to 3/4 part sour and sweet. And actually, if you take out the cucumber in this cucumber martini, what we've essentially built is a vodka gimlet, or a fresh version of it. So you're essentially learning 2 drinks at the same time, right? All right, guys, so now let's go ahead and add some ice to this. We are going to shake this cocktail. Remember, drinks that have fresh juices, especially cream, eggs, those are all drinks that we want to shake to emulsify the ingredients and then also to change the texture and the mouthfeel. So let's give this a good shake here. Whip it up.
Shaken, not stirred.
Yeah, right.
Right.
There's so much to take in from cocktail making that I didn't know, which is why I love these segments. Not only the history, but shaken, not stirred, and the difference and why you do that and why you don't, depending upon what's in it.
Yeah, and in the first episode, you guys asked me what kind of sparked this passion for me in bartending, and that's exactly what it is. When you go down the rabbit hole, as with any other profession, if you really learn the nuances, if you ask those questions that most people wouldn't think to ask, you get these fascinating answers, whether it's history or science. I mean, this is chemistry going on in this glass. It's a beautiful thing. So hopefully I can share that with you guys, and you start making cocktails at home as well. It's a lot of fun. It really is.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're gonna use that same technique that we did in prior weeks of fine straining, meaning that we're pouring from our cocktail shaker through this fine mesh strainer into our cocktail glass. And what that's gonna do is remove those little bits of cucumber, as well as any ice chips that haven't melted, which would dilute the drink afterwards in a way that we don't want it to. All right.
Well, Michelle's making it right along with you.
Oh yeah, beautiful.
Why not?
You know, even last week too, we had so many people that reached out and said they made the espresso martini as we were doing it. They had a lot of fun, and that's really my goal, is to explain things in the simplest way possible, so we can have some fun, not get all highfalutin about it, just enjoy a good classic drink. And it's great to see that people are really enjoying that. So for this, we can just keep it very simple and garnish with a few thin slices of cucumber, or we can get fancy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So to do that, really what you're doing is slicing with a peeler down lengthwise on a cucumber and then kind of coiling it together and putting the skewer through it. And that's your cucumber martini. One other thing about this, guys, is that this is a great drink. Beautiful, right? Now, even without alcohol, this is a fantastic mocktail variation. So if you take out the vodka, of course, Tito's is amazing and adds a lot to this drink. But this is basically cucumber limeade if you take out the spirit. So if you're not in the mood for a cocktail, if you don't drink, this is a fantastic mocktail variation. So don't be afraid to just take that out if that's how you're feeling. Guys, cheers. That's our Tito's Cucumber Martini.
Cheers.
Mark,
I love it.
Fabulous.
Mark,
cheers to you.
Fantastic, guys.
Simple
Mark
yet delicious.
Tubridy, the acceptable face of the drinks industry. And we're gonna hear more from Mark a little bit later on, because he's going to be making the Kentucky Mule for us, which is much nicer than it sounds, I'd say.
Yes, it is.
Mike, thanks so much for joining us on this show. You've lent us class that I'm not sure we deserve, and all the best for this weekend.
Wouldn't this be great if all of our Zoom calls, you could just type in "thanks" by Mike, and just get out. Enough of you. You're useless. You and your trophy go home.
Your trophy.
Thanks for having us, Mark. Keep up the great work. Nick and Brittany,
Thanks,
I miss you guys. I miss not being with you all this week. Please, everybody out there, stay safe. We'll see you down the road.
Same to you, Mike. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Mike.
Mike, thank you. The legendary Mike Tirico, who will be hosting the
absolute legend.
Yeah, the Derby show that isn't this weekend, but he promises a fantastic watch, Britt, and I'll be tuning in any way I can.
As will I, when I'm not working, because I'll be jumping on the NBC Ascend show. Looking forward to that too. So tape that, put it on TiVo. But that was really wonderful to have him. He's such a busy guy, but so kind and so welcoming, so warm to be able to jump on here with us. So big thank you to him. But we're just getting started.
We are. Is it time to say happy birthday?
I think it is time to say happy birthday.
Let's do it.
TiVo is that okay? TiVo's not a thing. It's DVR. Thank you very much.
Thanks to our producers. And speaking of producers, there's a whole glut of them on later in the show. But let's welcome more. Here he is. What do you got, Enzo? What do you got?
Come on.
What do you got?
Whatever. I'll help you. No.
Happy birthday, Enzo.
Yeah, hey, Enzo, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Enzo.
And the one and only Lafitte Pinkai the third. Have you shaved this morning?
No, not at all.
Are you letting it grow in as well?
Yeah, that's like 4 weeks for me.
I've never seen anything like that.
I cannot hear Nick.
That's not a bad thing.
That's
never a bad thing.
I have to say, Lafitte, looking well for, what do we say, 88 by the time you celebrate your birthday every Kentucky Derby week, thanks to Eddie Olczyk.
Yeah, every dinner with Eddie Olczyk, there's another birthday celebrated. The best part about that was the time we went to the same restaurant the same year, and I celebrated my birthday twice. That was brilliant.
I love it. First and foremost, how are each of you doing? How are your families and friends? Give us an update on how everyone's doing.
Go ahead, sir.
Everybody is good, Britt. Thanks. Yeah, we're sheltering in place, and check on my folks who live a few miles from us. They're a little bit older, obviously, so not to make light of the situation, but I'm kind of a veteran of sheltering in place. 2 years ago, battling my stage 3 colon cancer, I had to stay home for almost 3 months of my 6 months of chemo. So I'm pretty much used to staying at home for a long period of time. So I'm kind of a veteran at it. But, my daughter and my youngest son are living with us, and they're, typical young people that, want to get out and do things. But hopefully everybody's staying safe out there. And we certainly are hoping everybody is adhering to all the, the advice and the laws that are out there. And hopefully we'll all get on the right side of this. And again, thanks to all our first responders and those essential workers and everybody on the front line. And look forward to seeing you guys all very soon in person, so we can go and celebrate either Britney or Lafitte's birthday at some point here soon.
I'm going to get you again one of these days when you least expect it.
All right.
Lafitte, how are you? How's Sonia?
Thanks. So everybody's good. Sonia, Jacob, everybody's, we're healthy. We're happy. We're fine. Just echoing so much of what Mike Tirico was saying earlier. And by the way, like, who wants to follow Mike Tirico? Like, who wants to show up and it's like after Mike Tirico? Like, really? And alongside
if he was on any
longer,
people would be requesting Nick and I leave and Mike stay.
No, he's like you said, absolutely legendary. No, everybody's good. Had a little bit of a scare with Dad. I was in Florida around the time he went to Panama. This was right in February, and probably when we started to take this really seriously. And I think Bob Baffert's quote was the best. We became, germaphobes literally overnight. He got back from Panama. He was a little bit ill. He got tested negative. Dad's healthy. Dad's happy. So no complaints. Everybody's good. Thanks for asking.
That's great news. Actually, Gary's just posted a question right when you were talking about your dad. What's one of your favorite memories of your dad while he was still riding?
Oh, wow. So by the time I started actually caring about the sport, he was in the twilight of his career, but it's different being a son of a jockey than the son of a basketball, baseball, football player. By the time you're in your late teens, that's ancient for a basketball, football player. As a jockey, Dad was still riding, and I got to enjoy his last Breeders' Cup win. Nice. It was in 1993, so I would have been 17. And that was the only one there that I was actually there for. He won the Derby when I was 9. I didn't know what the Derby was. And when he won most of his bigger races, I was too young to appreciate it. But actually being there for his last Breeders' Cup win in the 93 Juvenile Fillies Phone Shatter, that's probably the first one that comes to mind, just because you're actually there to take it all in and appreciate it.
Edzo, can you hear me now?
Really special.
I can hear you, Nick. Good to see you with you, buddy.
You too. Poor guy. I was just talking to Lafitte about memories of his dad. How much did your kids get to see you play?
Mm-hmm. My oldest boy's got a lot to. Hey, Lafitte, what's this picture here? What is
wow, look at that.
This is so cool. I had never seen that picture before in my life. And Dad texted me this picture 2 days ago. It's Bill Shoemaker. And like, my father was a jockey. I can say objectively, Bill Shoemaker was the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Hall of Famer George Velasquez, Angel Cordero, and my father. Nick, you'll appreciate this. It was a British jockeys, U.S. riders championship, a riding competition in the UK. That picture was apparently taken.
I think it was at Sandown Park.
You would know better than I would. 1980.
Which is say 2 miles from where I'm sitting now.
So cool. So it was Pat Ettery. It was Walter Swinburne. Who was it? There was another American rider who actually rode for Team Europe. Anyhow, Dad said it was an absolute blast, and I was so excited to see that and be able to share that image. I had never seen it before a couple of days ago.
It could have been
squad goal
or one of those guys, was it? Or Darryl McCarg or
what was it? Might have been Cawthon.
Yeah, or Steve Cawthon. Yeah,
might have been Cawthon, Nick. Might have been Cawthon.
But I mean, amazing era of jockeyship. Then we were talking about it with Mike, weren't we, a couple of weeks ago? Mike Smith a couple of weeks ago on this show. What an extraordinary era of talent that was.
And stories for days.
It was incredible. Dad told a quick story to me the other day. He says he went back twice, and the first time, he didn't follow instructions. He didn't understand that one side of the turf course was much better than the other side of the turf course, and he couldn't understand why everybody went that way. And he stayed here, and on a horse that he should have won, he was on the worst part of the ground, and that he's like, I probably should have listened to instructions. So the next year he went back, and he was on another fast racehorse, a fast filly, he described her, and he said that he banked it pretty hard to find the better ground and was able to win one of those races. He was speaking very glowingly of the experience.
Oh, I love that. It's no secret, Edzo, how much you love watching the races and betting on the ponies. Have you been keeping up to date with everything? How often are you watching the races?
Yeah, we need the 7 or 12 in the last race right now at Gulfstream, so I'll let you know what's going on. So
7 or 12?
Yeah, 7 or 12. Either one's good. So, but look, at the end of the day, thankfully it's been ongoing and some pretty famous racetracks, obviously at Oaklawn and Gulfstream, and getting to know the circuit at Fauner Park and Will Rogers Down. So hey, action is action, and it's helped killing the clock and passing the time and doing what I love to do, whether they're in the middle of Arkansas or Florida. It doesn't really matter. Nebraska. But yeah, it's been fun, and you guys have been doing a wonderful job, Britney, on TVG. Been watching every day, and obviously the simulcast coverage on NBCSN on the weekends, which is great. So the more people that see it, the better it is, and it ends up coming in 10, 1, 12. So have to turn the page and get ready for tomorrow. So.
Well, Edzo, can you expand on that a little bit, though? With horse racing, the only game that's really up right now, and you have a love for two sports, in hockey and horse racing. What do you think sports give people? What do you think this world is going to be like once we are able to have those sports back? And Lafitte, I know you, a huge baseball fan. What do you think they bring into our lives that we're noticing more than ever now than we did before?
Well, I mean, the entertainment aspect of it, Brittany, but I think really what sports does is it kind of takes us all away from our so-called little world, right? Our own little place that we live in. And I want to say it's a distraction, but certainly, people look to sports as a release and an outlet, and passionate fans, doesn't matter what the sport is, doesn't matter what state, what country, what continent. I mean, it's something that I think people just are in love with, and that, I think that's the thing for sure. But look, I mean, we've heard the saying before, but you don't really appreciate something until it's gone. And what we've all lived through here the last 50 days, 60 days, whatever it's been, is hopefully gives everybody an opportunity to take a step back and reset and really kind of look ahead. But yeah, I think just sports in general, it's entertainment, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that maybe we all just needed to just slow down a little bit, and we take, as Eddie said, so many things that are always seemingly there. We take it all for granted, and given that opportunity, when we have a chance to go to a baseball game, when we have a chance to see our family whenever we want to, whatever the case may be, maybe you don't do it next time. Maybe you don't do it next week. Maybe you do it today. Maybe you do it when it's right there in front of you, because you don't know when that's going to be taken away. And specifically for the Derby, as a racing fan, I've never taken the Kentucky Derby for granted. But now that we're going to wake up on the first Saturday in May, you think about it. You're going to wake up on the first Saturday in May, your head's going to hit the pillow that night, and you will not have seen a Kentucky Derby. It's not what's important given what's happening in the world, but it's for racing fans, that is bizarre. So yeah, the next one, when we get there in September, it's going to be next level.
I'm with you. More special than ever. I really do feel that first Saturday in September is going to be.
And also, it's not just a horse racing event, as Mike was saying. It's an event that unites the nation. It's part of national culture, and it's the only horse racing event that's part of national culture. So, with that in mind, when it does come round again, it should give people a sense of renewed optimism and hope that the world is progressing towards some sort of normality, even if that's not the normality that we were used to before.
Yeah, it galvanizes, right, Lick? I mean, I think that's what we're hoping for, and that's what sports usually does to small communities, cities, states, countries. I mean, it brings people together, and I think that's what will hopefully happen once we get to that first Saturday in September, which doesn't roll off the tongue.
No, it doesn't.
The first Saturday day, is that right? So always have to slow down just a little bit. I don't want to say anything I'm not supposed to, but I look at, I can't wait and look at. I mean, without getting into the X's and O's, so to speak. I've been asked this question a lot. Just how different will it be? And I'm just saying, from the animal's point of view, from the equine athlete point of view, you have horses that are very immature right now still and raw, and maybe we're going to see somebody, Brit, on Saturday in one of the two divisions of the Arkansas Derby all of a sudden go from a sports analogy, from a minor leaguer to a first-time all-star, and it's just that maturation process. So much can happen in between now and September. So that's the one thing that's going to be really interesting, is who and where does it come from? Because there's going to be somebody that shows up there and going, wow, well, he would have never been here if ... the Derby would have been on the first Saturday.
Yeah, so somewhere Arrowgate sitting there being like,
exactly,
happened in 2016.
Right.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Everybody thought that he could have been that type of Triple Crown winner, but it's also showing to you that perhaps a career for the latter half of their 3-year-old year, he made it desirable, because look at what he did. Perhaps it's not, the worst thing in the world to miss the Triple Crown races if they're going to mature. So now we're going to actually get to see that, which is really thrilling and exciting to me, which is why I said earlier, this could possibly be one of the best Kentucky Derbies we've ever seen, because we have so many mature 3-year-olds. It just makes it fun. I miss all of the banter that horse racing and sports bring, especially between you and Jerry, Edzo.
Yeah, just make sure you're propping Jerry up on the chair he's sitting in today. So when he's on the show, okay. Hey, I do want to, if I could, I want to say this though. It's just my opinion. I've talked to Lafitte about this. I do believe that. Bob Baffert is the man. I think he's been the man for a long time, and he's going to go down as the man. I believe Arrowgate is the best horse that he's ever had. I really believe that. Like, I think he's better than American Pharoah, and I think he's better than Justify. But to your point, Lafitte and Britt, is that, him not playing or him not, racing early in his three-year-old career. So he was an amazing horse when he was really right, because that Travers, boy, oh boy, was that Travers unbelievable.
And that's unbelievable
because he had him at 10-1. Yeah. Because Eddie Olczek.
It's always about the wagering. Mike Tirico, happy birthday. All right.
If you are, happy birthday. If you are a speed figure guy, just to roll the conversation forward to like the Arkansas Derby, Charlatan. On paper, if you're a speed figure guy, you follow the Beyer speed figures. Always equate him to a quarterback rating, higher the number, faster the race. Charlatan in his first 2 races is actually faster. Jonathan Kinchin, terrific handicapper, brought this to my attention. In his first 2 races on paper, we're not saying he is those horses, but he's faster than American Pharoah, Justify, and Arrowgate. In his first 2 races, just something to keep in mind when Charlatan loads into the starting gate for the first division of the Arkansas Derby on Saturday.
So is that who you're picking? Give me one name, each of you, for the Arkansas Derby.
I'm going to go. In the first, it's Charlatan for sure. But in Division 2, I'm going to tip my hand. I'm going to go Farmington Road on the outside with Javier Castellano.
All right.
A lot of players in that second division. Look out for Silver Prospector. I think he's sitting on the big one.
Guys, thank you so much.
Pleasure. Great to see you guys.
Stay safe.
Love you guys.
See you.
Edzo, happy birthday, brother.
All right. Way to go, Mike.
Happy birthday to Eddie Olczek.
So many birthdays.
And Lafitte Pincay III. What a great photograph that was as well of the 4 jockeys on the horse at Sandown back in the early 80s. Mark is back with us. Mark, what do you make of that?
That was an incredible. This whole segment, this whole show is just crazy. I got to say, when I saw the lineup of who was going to be on the show tonight, I was blown away. So I was enjoying just being a spectator for a few minutes there. But I'm excited to make the next drink, and I'm even more excited because I'm going to be making it with the one and only Nick Luck.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Mark Tubridy. Let's see how I can do.
You're going to do great. So,
all right, and now, Brittany, are we going to say hello to some more guests before Mark launches into the next cocktail?
I would love to.
Oh,
yes!
Oh my word, who's that?
Donna Barton Brothers, Larry Colmus, Kenny Rice.
Oh, this is it's like
Hello.
Celebrity Squares, except the guy in the middle at the top.
I feel like
I want Charlie Weaver to block.
Donna, your hair is a vision. You are a vision in purple.
When did this happen?
Tell me about it.
Is it purple? My hair? Oh my God. I got really bored during COVID. Come on, we got to mix it up a little bit, right? So do you want to see? Did the faux hawk, both sides. And yeah, I got COVID bored. Had to do it. Yeah, purple mohawk, faux hawk, whatever.
Did you do it yourself?
No. Luckily, my sister is staying here with my husband and I right now. So we are still, sheltering at home and in place. And so my sister did the color.
That is impressive.
I'm taking a picture of her hair.
They asked us to do this. And I'm somebody who gets my hair cut and colored every 3 weeks. And I'm like, okay, great. You want me to be on the show and I haven't had my hair done in 10 weeks. I don't know what it's going to look like. So I just went with it. Why not?
I think it's great. I think it's absolutely epic. It's so wonderful to see all of your faces. Kenny, Larry, I know you're both busy this weekend. Kenny, you're going to be live and on site at Churchill. Is that right?
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's nice. It wouldn't be the same, even though no one will be there but me. At least I'll be at Churchill Downs the first Saturday in May, which has been going on for several decades. So I'm excited about that.
And Larry, you are going to be calling a race of sorts on Saturday.
I am. I'm going to be doing the virtual Derby with all of the Triple Crown winners at the starting gate together, 13 of them, and pretty exciting to find out who's going to win the race. But I will say that, Donna's hair is pretty awesome, and the reason that I'm wearing a hat is because I did cut my hair myself with clippers the other day. It wasn't a good idea.
You got to show us.
Come on, Larry.
I'll show you. That's what I look at. I'm going to go in a little bit. So until then, the hat's off.
Larry, you look like you're channeling Mike Tirico right now.
I know. I didn't realize how bald I was until I actually shaved my head. Not shaved it, clipped it,
I like it.
Not good. Anyway.
There's all the shampoo money you just saved.
Yeah, but by the way, I'm honoring the champion Breeders' Cup Classic winner Vino Rosso. With my choice of cocktail, the little red wine.
A little red wine in the most unfeasibly large glass I think I've ever seen.
Anything goes in quarantine. Anything goes.
Kenny, how's Kentucky? How's life in Central Kentucky? What's the mood like in horse country?
Well, I think the mood's gotten a lot better since they're going to start racing again. We're now going to have racing once again in Kentucky. Churchill Downs opening weekend will be the 16th of May. As they say, there's nothing like the third Saturday in May. And at least that's what they're saying this year. That's the new slogan for this year. So live racing will come back. It'll be spectatorless, but at least you'll have racing. And they would probably do it a little sooner, but the horses that will be coming in, they got to go through a check period for everybody that's coming in with the horse more than the horse itself. But yeah, and you know what? It's going to be, and it will only happen this year when it's supposed to be like 72 and sunny on Saturday at Churchill Downs.
Of course.
Oh, only this year. Only this year. Next year, nah.
My clothes are still drying out from last year. I mean,
I still remember Lafitte's hair from last year at the end of the show.
And it was worse last year because it kind of snuck. Yeah, it kind of slid in on you, didn't it? At least the Justify year in 18, you all day long it rained. So by the time of the race, you were acclimated. You were soaking wet, but at least you'd been that way for 4 hours, as opposed to the way it just kind of popped in last year as we the closer to the race.
I remember. Sorry, Nick, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I was just watching back some of the clips the other day, and the biggest miracle for me was that my shoe didn't come clean off in the mud on the walkover. There was just one moment. I don't know if you found this as well, Kenny, where my heel just slipped out far enough. I thought the shoe's going to go, and I'm going to walk in my sock all the way back to the grandstand.
Well, you and Britney and Donna know that the biggest pressure, I think, is the walkover, because there's that moment that you're going to become the YouTube sensation you don't want to become when you face plant in the mud at Churchill Downs, because as you know, it's uneven and it's cuppy in places, and you hope you don't have a horse that kicks you as you walk over. But still, it's the greatest experience to see 160,000 people when you first start out on that track and see the grandstand in the infield. But you look at it and then you kind of look it down, like Nick said, because you're thinking, well, if I lose this shoe, I wonder if anybody will pick it up for me. Probably not.
The shoes that I wore both my first Derby, which was Justifies, and last year, they went into the trash bin immediately after. But my favorite part of it was the walkover, and I'm hovering underneath my jacket, and I see Kenny Rice running in the mud to get to whoever your walkover interview must have been. Like, he is hauling it in the mud. You did not fall, though, and you were not that YouTube sensation. But I think that's what makes it a little bit fun, is you don't know what to expect. We've had rain most years, and of course it's going to be sunny, and then we're going to get rain in September, I'm sure. But it's the unexpected of the Kentucky Derby that I think makes it really exciting and fun and memorable. So I'm missing it, but I love reflecting back on it.
Well, I have to say that, I'm sorry, Nick, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
The biggest surprise, I think, for all of us was American Pharoah's year at the Preakness Stakes, when we had that deluge that came all of a sudden, right? Because I had enough time as the horses were in the saddling area, I had enough time to get my jacket on real quick, but not to get my rain pants on. I had white pants on. And so what I learned from that is that white pants, when they get that wet, become clear pants. My jacket went down far enough, and I had a change of pants when I got back, and I needed them, believe me.
Oh my goodness! Should we get into the Kentucky Mule? And I'd like to bring in some trivia questions, perhaps, while we're doing that. How's that sound for everybody?
Mark, school me on this Kentucky Mule. I've been wanting to make a cocktail with you for 5 weeks now. I've finally got my bits and pieces together.
I'm super excited. Yeah, so first off, the Moscow Mule that we all know and love was created back in the early 1940s. And it was sort of the collaboration between a ginger beer proprietor and a vodka importer. And it was one of the first drinks that really caused vodka to start taking off in the States. But the Kentucky Mule, which is a simple variation that substitutes bourbon instead of vodka, is one of my favorites. It's delicious to make. So let's go ahead and get started. The easiest thing about this drink, Nick, is that we're going to build it directly into the glass. So we don't have to shake it. We don't have to stir it. It's going to be super easy. Just make sure you have all your ingredients. You have your Maker's Mark bourbon?
Yep.
I know you do. We've got fresh lime juice.
Today.
Yeah. Or you could just squeeze half a lime in there. And we're going to need ginger beer. All right. So because we're building this cocktail, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with ice directly into our glass. So if you have some ice there, just go ahead and put that in. If you happen to have a copper mug, that's traditional for this drink, as it is for the Moscow Mule.
How many cubes? How many cubes of ice?
I would just do it so that it kind of fills the mug up or the glass up. Yeah, okay. You do want to keep it nice and cold. Now, of course, the mug will help do that better. But if you don't have a mug at home, guys, go ahead for a rocks glass. That's completely fine. That looks perfect.
Never seen Nick look so concentrated.
He's going to do great.
I'm taking notes.
All right. And now we're just going to do 2 ounces directly into that glass over the ice. So if you don't have a measuring tool, Nick, just sort of guesstimate. I would say 2 fingers. 2 fingers of bourbon.
Can you do about 1,000, 2, 1,000? Does that work?
You know, if you had a speed pour on the bottle, you absolutely could, because both Nick and I are pouring, like free pouring. It doesn't work as well. But that's a good point, because that's a whole system of measuring in bars. If you have the speed pour top, so you can count it.
Oh,
but
there you go.
That looks good. That looks great, actually. All right, now we are going to do. That's a beautiful glass. He showed me before the show, and I was thoroughly impressed. That's a great glass for this drink. So we're going to do
playing up this British stereotype thing.
You're doing it so well. Like Mike said, it doesn't really matter what you say, Nick.
It's how you say it.
So.
Exactly.
So we are going to continue with a ½ ounce of fresh lime juice. So the best way for you, Nick, is to do 1/4 of what you just did. Yep. Or if I would squeeze that lime directly in there. Keep it simple. Beautiful. I'm going to do on my end, I'm going to do a ½ ounce. Now this is just a little acidity.
Doing great, Nick.
To balance out the ginger beer. That looks good. If you're feeling super freelance, you can just drop that lime in there if you'd like. And now,
I like that freelance bartending. I like that, Mark.
Yeah, keep it loose, keep it fun.
You talk about freelance, Mark. This is my side hustle right now. This is my COVID side hustle. Right?
We could do some private lessons. I won't charge you too much, I promise.
No, you're right.
Take him about 25 minutes.
For horse racing. Horse racing, now that this is his second job, he's like on it, focused.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody needs a side hustle, I think. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do our ginger beer last. So now, if you have ginger ale, that's okay. This drink traditionally was made with ginger beer. And
this is ginger beer.
Okay, perfect. So there is a difference between the two. So ginger ale is obviously that carbonated soft drink that we all know. It's sweetened afterwards. It has that ginger flavor added to it. The difference is that ginger beer is actually brewed and fermented with fresh ginger. So you get this great pop of spiciness that you don't get from ginger ale. But it is non-alcoholic, but it really makes a difference. So if you have a great brand like Reed's, that's great. Originally, it would have been Cock and Bull brand. But let's go ahead and add about 4 ounces ginger beer. Or Nick, I would say just top off your glass. I wouldn't get too scientific with it. Basically, we're kind of building a highball here. So it's meant to be pretty simple. All right,
We've got
beautiful.
another horse name, Side Hustle.
Side Hustle, yes.
Yeah,
I knew we were going to get a good name. I knew we were going to get a good name by the end of the episode. I didn't know what it was going to be.
Larry,
can you envision calling it?
I can, absolutely. They're all in line, and here comes Side Hustle.
There you go. And we've got Gentle Muddle, and what was the other one, Brittany? I keep losing track.
Ooh, it'll come back to me.
Oh,
okay.
Bash the mint. Bash the mint.
Smack the mint. Smack the mint. Gentle Muddle, and now Side Hustle.
Slap the mint, guys. Slap
the mint. Slap the mint.
All right.
Like it.
Now, Nick, all we're doing is giving that a little stir just to combine the ingredients. Nothing crazy there. You could, hey, there's a famous bartender who sadly recently passed, Gary Regan, who used to stir his Negronis with his finger, and it kind of became his thing. So, if you don't have a spoon, just go for it.
Whatever works.
Let's garnish this with a lime wheel. Guys, this is a delicious Kentucky Mule, as simple as it gets.
Ooh.
As if you are craving a mint julep this weekend, I know it's not quite the same, but you want to try to imagine yourself at the Derby. We have featured that in prior episodes, so feel free to scan through, our series here. We did talk about how to make the mint julep. You could also make a great Kentucky Oaks Lily, a fantastic sort of Cosmo variation with Tito's cranberry juice, some sweet and sour mix, and triple sec. So a lot of great options for you this weekend. I know it won't be quite the same, but at least you'll be dry. That's the one little silver lining. Cheers, guys.
It is
Nick,
warming.
How did it turn out?
Really nice. It's quite strong with the two fingers. Yeah, quite strong.
You can handle it.
We've got a little game for you guys, some trivia. So I'm going to ask each of you a question. Well, one question, then each of you can answer. And this is all pertaining to the on-air team at NBC. Okay?
Brittany Eurton. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Odds are against you if you continually use my name because there's only one question. Who went to school to be a pharmacist?
Wow.
Put you guys on the clock.
I'm going to say that would be.
I'll go for Tirico.
Okay, Donna.
He's the smart one.
And Kenny.
I would say I was going to go Lafitte, but I don't think that's right because I think he always wanted to announce it.
Yep. Ding, ding, ding. Donna, well done. Randy wanted to be a pharmacist.
Wow.
Thomas Carney's got that as well. Says Moss. Well done, Thomas.
Yeah, I'm not competitive at all, by the way, guys.
No. You guys should know this one. Who met their spouse on a plane? Oh, maybe not. It's a great story.
Gary Bailey?
Okay. Donna?
I'm going to go with Eddie Olczyk.
Eddie Olczyk. We'll take Eddie Olczyk for $200, Alex.
You got $200, Kenny Ray. Well done, Eddie Olczyk. Yes, he.
Hey, wait, I'm 2 for 2.
Yeah, you're 2 for 2.
Look at you.
All right, Nick. One more. Should we do one more?
Yeah, one more.
See if Donna can go 3 for 3.
Okay.
Ooh, let me pick. What number do you want? Nick,
I'll
go ahead.
one for you. All right. Who is a minority owner of the Packers?
Gary Bailey.
Oh, straight in there.
Yeah,
Straight. Too easy. Too easy,
Way
my one.
too easy.
Way too easy.
Good job.
All right.
I wouldn't have had that one.
You went 2 for 3.
Only
That's
got
a good
one.
day at the track.
Okay, you guys just ended on a funny note. Who cannot pronounce Three Chimneys Farm?
Nick Luck.
Yeah, I'm going to say Nick Luck too.
Outrageous.
Okay. Nick Luck.
Kenny?
No, I don't want to say Nick Luck. I like Nick. I don't know.
I'll give you a clue, Kenny.
Yes.
Horse racing on NBCSN is brought to you by Three Chimneys Farm.
Lafitte and Kai, we love you.
Well, we've all had a flub. But, Three Chimneys is the name of the new horse that's going to be in the Muddle Stakes, I think, coming up.
Guys, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Being on our show and just being great friends and great colleagues and for welcoming us into your NBC family. Thank you so much. And stay safe and stay well, stay healthy.
Hey, we've enjoyed
everyone.
Every
Great
week.
to see you all. I look forward to when we're in person soon, I hope.
Me too.
Absolutely, guys.
Lots of love. We could have been chatting for hours there.
I know. It's too. They're too quick. They're too quick. Who we got next, Britt?
Next up, Ahmed Fareed and Matt Bernier. Oh no, I'm a little worried. What is Ahmed going to say about my background right now?
Is Ahmed actually there? Oh, God, I thought it was a.
It looked like a cardboard cutout.
I thought it was a modeling
Good
shoot.
camera quality. Yeah.
Yeah, are you coming to us on a high definition fancy camera right now?
So this is what you have to do when you start poking fun at other people's homes and their background. You need to invest heavily in your own background, because what is it? He who lives in glass houses cannot throw stones. So I had to fix it up, and so yeah, that's a real background.
Wow.
That's live and in person. When we were doing the rehearsal yesterday with Shauna, she was like, "Is that really real? Like, go back there and mess with things and move them around just so I know that's not some sort of green screen." So I'm in my basement right now. Yeah, my kids are upstairs. This is all real, guys. Good to see you.
Good
You
to
too,
see
Ahmed.
you.
So guys.
Matt, how are things with you?
All well, guys. Just kind of one day at a time, like everyone else, trying to abide by the rules. And luckily, we can gamble a little bit while we're kind of waiting things out. So, yeah, all's well. No complaints.
Because you're in quarantine and newlywed life.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about diving into the deep end. This is the absolute test here. And luckily, knock on wood, we're doing all right. But yeah, it's been an interesting dynamic because I've been used to working from home for so long. And my wife, typically, we go into the office. Now we've split up the office space and we have to kind of take shifts. But all in all, everything's going well.
Good. Wonderful.
Matt, how are you finding betting the Will Rogers Downs and the Fauna Parks and whatnot?
So I haven't really done a deep dive into those tracks, even though it seems like Fauna Park has a giant payout twice a week. It seems like that just seems to be the going rate at this point. I've been much more interested in Gulfstream and Oaklawn. Gulfstream, I don't think I've ever been as in tune with that track as I am right now. I feel quite good down there. So knock on wood, things keep going along. It was unfortunate with the weather today, but it is what it is in South Florida. You're going to get that every once in a while.
You almost couldn't see it. I was watching it on a TV earlier, and it was just completely blank, foggy, kind of resembled Justified's Preakness, but almost worse. Ahmed, I have to ask, when did the idea come about to start analyzing people's backgrounds? Because it's hilarious, and I think everyone's enjoying the curtain being peeled back a little bit and seeing people's homes.
Yeah, so we've made, I think, 4 videos right now, picking apart everyone's background. And basically the idea came about because a couple of my bosses called me up and they go, "Ahmed, you're not doing anything. You're just at home. Figure out something to do." And I was like, I know, I can make fun of other people. So yeah. And I figured that so many other people were doing that. It's like you're listening to the person, but then you're like, oh, why do they have 2 Elvises in the background? That was Dale Earnhardt Jr. And so we just started seeing all the backgrounds, and I was like, this will be kind of a fun video idea, and we'll pair up 2 people, Nick Luck versus Britney Eurton, which is coming in the next background battles video. So really, it was just out of trying to find ideas, content in this time when there's really nothing going on. And I do have to say, too, hearing Matt Bernier's voice right there brings me back to this time last year, because I'm a newbie to the sport, and I've learned so much from you guys and Nick and Britney. But I got to say, Matt was my guy because I would listen to his podcast all the time. And that was how I got my indoctrination into horse racing, because I was like, what are the people that are into horse racing and know it inside and out talking about? I'll listen to them ask the questions and listen, like kind of pick their brains. And I was able to listen to Matt Bernier every podcast, probably 2 times. And so that got me to where I am today, which is not much higher than I was a year ago, but it's still a little bit better. So it's nice to hear Matt again in my ear. Oh, here's the
wow! Look at this.
Let's have a glimpse of Ahmed dishing the dirt. Oh, we got a tantalizing glimpse.
I was going to say that was a tease.
That was all you get. Yeah, you got to pay for the rest of it. It's $5.99 per month.
Okay.
Some of you have stepped up your game. This is going to get more difficult. Mike Florio and Patrick Sharp. Florio in what he refers to as a barn. Looks like we got multiple helmets, a couple guitars he played, sitting down in a rocking chair, ready to read us a bedtime story. Patrick Sharp, super clean, smooth, but I'm not sure if is that his office or is that a kitchen? A little ambiguity there makes me uncomfortable. I'm going with Mike. Oh, we got Chris versus Chris, our first mano-a-mano. Okay, this is Chris early in the quarantine. This is Chris late in the quarantine. Somehow both shots incorporate multiple doors, even the one in the corner. There's 2 doors there. How is that even possible? So the early quarantine, Chris, has a lot going on. I like it, but
We got a crooked horizon line, and that's a big no-no.
Wow.
And the reason I feel okay doing all these things is because I know, at least for the near future, I don't have to face these people like in real life, right? It's not allowed, and so it's like I don't have to. It's like, hey, sorry, you lost the background battle. I don't have to see him. Maybe get a text from him.
Showing off his multiple.
I mean, with these two legends, though, how do you pick?
Many as well.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
This one was one of the more difficult ones, Brittany.
Sure.
Way for Al.
You don't want to make Al Michaels mad.
Does get the victory.
I'm assuming here, and I know this might be a stretch. I'm assuming that Doc Emmerich and Al Michaels were not watching and have not watched and have no idea I did that. So I could pretty much say whatever I want. But yeah, I mean, that's why what you guys have been doing and what what horse racing in total has been doing has been so nice for everyone out there hungry for content. I mean, it's either watch a live race, bet on a live race, or watch a minute 43 of Ahmed try to make jokes. And so it's like really, it's like the balance is off on that. And so I think it's shown us, and I think Lafitte said the same thing, how, we take a lot of the stuff for granted. The hamster wheel keeps turning and turning. And when you finally get to a point where, no, there's not a whole lot going on, you appreciate the few times that you have some actual live sports action.
Well, what a lot of people in the UK would give for any live content now. I mean, we may be approaching it, but certainly not within the next 2 weeks or so, I wouldn't have said. So, it's coming closer, but it's, I think now 6 weeks on, 7 weeks on from when the horse racing and all of sport and the whole country effectively shut down. Now is the time when people are really starting to crave something. We know there's more important matters at stake, but sport is something that binds everybody, and it is so important for people's well-being, mental well-being.
Yep. And I think Pete, you hear the word distraction thrown out there. Oh, people need a distraction, but I think that short sells what sports really is. It's not a distraction. It is a hobby for a lot of people, and it's how they want to spend their time and their energy, and they just enjoy it. I don't follow. I'm a big baseball fan. I don't follow baseball because I want to be distracted from my life. I follow it because I really enjoy it. And so we learn too that our hobbies are better when life is good, and we enjoy them because we enjoy them, not because they're distracting us from anything that's out in the world. And so I think when sports comes back and we get to the other side of this whole thing, we'll be able to appreciate it more and realize that, this is how we want to spend our first Saturday in May, is betting and watching and partying with everyone else at Churchill Downs.
I think we're going to approach things differently once we're out of this. Just really soak up every moment, every sporting event, every concert, every moment that you spend with your family, just the little things. I think that's what we pretty much said across this entire hour and 7 that we've been on, is we take things for granted. We absolutely do. And perhaps we'll learn not to in the future.
Where can I hear more Matt Bernier right now?
Right now, probably the most frequent would either be on YouTube or a podcast on In the Money's sort of network, or if you want some sort of live interaction where we can go back and forth, and either I can pick more winners than you or you can follow along with us on Fridays on horseplayers.com. We play in a little bit of we call it Horse Players Happy Hour. We all sit around and we chop up the races. I think it's usually 6 or 7 races for a couple hours on Friday afternoons. Myself, Peter Thomas Fornatal, and Jonathan Kinchin, and the boys occasionally have some other guests that roll through. But for the most part, it's just kind of, I feel like a lot of us are doing this sort of thing now, where it's a little bit of what we used to do out in public, we're just doing now from certain rooms or areas of your home, and it's just nice to be able to interact with folks where you're not just losing your mind sitting at home waiting, hoping that things are going to turn around here sooner than later, when who knows in reality how long things are going to take. But that's a nice way. If you're trying to get involved with contests, playing the horses, talking about it a little bit, I would definitely say the Breeders' Cup Happy Hour for horse players on Friday afternoons. No, Brittany, I've just realized I've got a wonky horizon line. Oh, I have one too. It's all right. It's all right.
Wait,
it's really actually bad. Not all right, guys. I did notice it, and it's not all right.
My photo. How do
I didn't build the building.
Brittany, yours is good. Although I can't tell. The roses are good. I can't tell. Is that a light fixture or is that a plant? to your right over your other shoulder?
It's a plant that needs to be. It's fake. It needs to be.
Oh no!
It needs to soften a little bit.
All right, that'll factor into everything. And I do have to say too, Nick, before I go, I do have to say you challenged me about a week ago to eat a raw egg.
Oh, good man. Do it for Dan.
So here it is. I got it right here. It's a raw egg. I just unpeeled it.
Why is it so dark? Oh, you are the worst.
Oh,
that's a cop
Ahmed.
Doesn't count.
Can't do it all at once.
Is it surprisingly nice?
That's a lot of sugar in there. I couldn't do it. It scared me. I Googled it for like an hour and a half. And even though you survived, Nick, which I don't know how you did, the slight chance of salmonella poisoning freaked me out.
Lafitte Pink Eye did this live on a well-known television network.
Yeah, I'm no Lafitte Pink Eye, and I've been told that multiple times. But I did donate, and I brought the receipt here. I've donated to the Breeders' Cup charities, which is on the website there. And Nick, I can email you a copy of that just to confirm it even more. Because I chickened out on the egg, but we've donated to the great charities out there that you guys are supporting. So at least I did that.
You are an absolute gentleman, Ahmed Fareed. And it's always a pleasure working with you and great to have you on the show. I'm sorry we can't be with you on Saturday, but hopefully at a time later in the year. Matty B, good luck with the next couple of weeks.
Do you have an Arkansas Derby pick? Either one or two?
Charlatan at this point, I feel like he's just going to kind of walk out there by himself. I don't know who's going to keep him honest up front. The other division I think is a little more interesting. I want to give Asmussen's horse another chance in there. His name's slipping my mind at this. Silver Prospector. Yeah, I feel like he moved into the teeth of the pace in that most recent race. I feel like things could unfold a little bit differently here this weekend.
Cool. Thank you.
I've got my pick now too.
Take care.
Later, guys.
Wonderful stuff.
I genuinely thought that was a green screen. I still don't know if I believe that he could actually walk back there and grab. It was too perfect.
I know. And the quality of the picture was too good as well. Just everything. It looked like it had the whole of the NBC team down there doing a big overhaul. Yeah.
Agreed. So I don't know.
Get around to Fareed's place and give it a once over, will you? You know, we'll see it. Right. Let's.
I'm excited about bringing in this duo.
Oh, how can you not be excited? One of the most endearing and enduring duos on horse racing television in the world. There he is, saying cheers.
Cheers. I love it.
The man who wanted to be a pharmacist and the Hall of Famer. It's Randy Moss and Jerry Bailey, or Jerry Bailey and Randy Moss. Gents, good evening.
Listen, I'm going to claim a foul right now. Randy Moss texted me, "What are you wearing?" And I said, "My pajamas." That doesn't look like pajamas to me.
So I immediately ran to my wardrobe and got a sport jacket just for Jerry. Yes, I did.
You guys look sharp.
And by the way,
all of the backgrounds.
I never wanted to be a pharmacist. That's why I only lasted one semester in pharmacy school. So let's just get that right out there.
What happened at pharmacy school in that one semester, or did you not find out much?
I was. This is the God's honest truth. I at one point was the youngest newspaper handicapper in America. I was 13 years old, doing picks for a Little Rock, Arkansas paper under somebody else's name, and I did that all through college. And I did it into pharmacy school, and now I'm one semester into pharmacy school, and I can't stand it. I hate it. And Oak Lawn is coming up in the next February, the second semester. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to be able to handle this. I'm not going to be able to go to pharmacy school and study and do all the book learning and all that it takes to be a pharmacist, which I don't want to be in the first place, and handicap the horses for Oak Lawn. So I made a career decision at the end of the first semester when I was studying for a biology final and all the books were on my bed. And I said, the hell with this. And I just closed the book, walked out, and started handicapping the next year full time.
Oh, the best decision you ever made.
Jerry, did you ever want to be anything but a jockey?
Oh, I didn't want to be a jockey at first. I wanted to be a football player. I mean, that was a natural fit, right? For a guy that was like 4'8".
Do you know Mike Smith said that to me 2 days ago? He said he wanted to be a linebacker.
Yeah. I grew up in West Texas, and although there were a lot of horses, there was way more football, and the football players got the girls, so that's what I wanted to be.
Now, anybody who's ever been in a bar with Randy Moss knows that your specifications, Randy, for what you're drinking are just that. They are incredibly specific.
Yeah, I don't think of myself in general as a snob, but when it comes to margaritas, I am definitely a margarita snob. I think Jerry's probably witnessed me sending back a margarita or two, or saying, this doesn't taste right. But yeah, when I make it myself, it's okay.
What's in it? What specifically? What makes it that delicious? And we have to get Mark's opinion of this, of course.
Well, first of all, is a generous pour of quality tequila, which would typically be añejo tequila, maybe a reposado. If you're making margarita, you can slide by. But I like the añejo. A good orange liqueur. I prefer Pierre Ferrand dry curacao. Fresh squeezed lime juice. A little bit of agave nectar, just a touch of agave nectar for some sweetness. A little bit of OJ. And put it in the shaker and roll.
It sounds great. As soon as you came on screen, I saw that. I was like, that looks like a delicious margarita. We're a week away from Cinco de Mayo. I said, that's the place where I need to be too. So I think you're doing it right, Randy.
Well, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that.
I love it. I want to hear this story though. Gary, if we can bring up his question. He said, Jerry, how did you become a jockey? So when the decision was made that you weren't going to be a football player, how did you become a jockey?
So my dad was a dentist. He owned some horses, and they ran at Sunland Park, New Mexico, which is right outside El Paso, Texas. It's the border. It's like a 9-iron away from El Paso. So we used to go to the races on Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. And I thought it was kind of cool that these little guys in the bright flowered and colorful shirts would rip around the track going about 40 miles an hour. And there was this one little tiny, he was like Julie Crone size. His name was Bobby Salas. And he was as hot as they came right then. He was winning all the races. So I hung out until the end of one of the race cars and watched him leave the jockey's quarters. And he was like 4'0". And he walked out, and this big, beautiful blonde grabbed his arm. They got in his sports car and drove off. And that was my aha moment. I thought, if he can do that and get the car and the girl, this is me. I'm doing it. That was it.
I didn't see any of that. There was none of that in pharmacy school, by the way.
Randy, I saw a wonderful feature that America's Best Racing did with you the other day, where you charted your first ever visit to the racetrack, which was as an as yet unborn boy
in utero. Yes.
Yeah, and you found actual footage of the race day and the race card as well.
Yes, I did. About 10 years ago, I visited my father's brother, my uncle, and his wife, my aunt, told me that there's this box of old videos. Your uncle bought one of the first color video cameras in the 1950s and took all these videos, and they're just sitting there. I don't know what to do with them. And I said, I'll take them. And I had them converted into DVDs, and I was just going through them. And all of a sudden I see my parents at Oaklawn Park, and I did a little inquiring and found out that was the year I was born. I looked at the tote board and saw the prices on one of the races, and then did a lot of research to figure out exactly the day, March 9th, 1959.
1949, did you say? 49?
69, Jerry, 69. No, okay. I know. I didn't watch you ride back then. I was too young. But
yeah, Ed was talking about Jerry riding assault back in the day, earlier today.
But anyway, yeah, that was a fun little thing to put together. Probably my first ever visit to the racetrack. I might have gone a little before then because my parents were huge racing fans. But yeah, I thought that was cool.
It was brilliant. It was a lovely piece as well. They did such a good job of it. Lon Garfield's been on. Jerry, who was the toughest jockey you ever rode against, and what's the toughest track you ever rode on?
The most competitive, I guess, rider would be Angel Cordero, that I rode with on a daily basis, because I rode against everybody in that era. occasionally, but day to day it was Cordero because he would ride his horse, your horse, and probably another guy's horse during the race. Toughest track? I don't know, probably European tracks, because I mean here, the strategy is pretty simple. You get where you want to be and you turn left and you turn left and you turn left. But I thought the European tracks, especially Ascot, was challenging but fun. I like that.
We all talk about not being able to go to the track, and obviously this weekend would have been Derby weekend. For each of you, what do you miss about being there, especially during a week like this?
Is it not Derby weekend?
Arkansas Derby weekend.
Have I missed something? Oh no. Go ahead, Jerry.
Well, for me, okay, so I'm going to do post riding since I retired. It's all the preparation leading up to it, from Monday when I get there and Randy's already in the trailer cleaning up, to all the barn work in the morning and all the fun we have talking to people and seeing people that I haven't seen in months, if not the previous year. And it's, aside from the meetings, which I can't stand because they take up way too much time, it's all the interaction with the people that you work with on a very casual kind of level. And it's fun all the way up until Thursday when we do our first show. Those are my favorite 3 days of the week.
Go ahead, Nick.
No, I was going to say, Randy, what's the rule of the meeting?
The rule of the meeting? You mean other than Jerry and I get to stay in the back room and we don't have
the length of the meeting, as stipulated by Randy Moss and Jerry Bailey. The length of the meeting must not be.
The meeting can't go longer than the show.
Exactly, and it's violated on a regular basis, unfortunately. Yeah.
Can't wait to bring the producers in after this. I don't think people know, though, really how much time and work you guys put into what you do on air, spending every morning out there. I mean, we'll be in the back room and you guys are on the phone call with a trainer getting information. So do you enjoy, I asked Mike this earlier, do you enjoy the process as much as the show?
I think we do. Jerry and I just like to hang out together and do all these things, and we're good friends. And, we banter back and forth even when we're not on the air. But yeah, the process of preparation is also, hey, there's our man.
Hey guys, I'm out.
Oh, the meeting.
Oh no, technical difficulties.
Never longer than the show. Come on, guys. Not cool. Not cool. And I let you guys stay in your office, looking at your figs and keeping your head in your computer, and I let you stay there when we got the whole meeting going on, doing your horsey stuff. Come on.
That's true. You have been very adaptable in letting us sit back there.
Well, it's good seeing you guys. Randy, I don't hear you, by the way. I hear everyone else but Randy, which may be a good thing.
Probably a good thing.
He's giving you hell. He's really been serving it up to you.
Thank you, Shona and Peter, for keeping Randy's mic muted to me. This is a special occasion because that's never the case during a show.
It's not the first time my mic has been muted, I think, right?
There you are. Come on.
If you were producing this show, you'd be screaming down my ear at the moment. Tell the audience who the hell is this guy. Don't assume
that. Take issue with what Randy just said. So we're producing our first Triple Crown winner in 37 years, American Pharaoh. And the roar of the crowd is deafening, as you remember. It was Hammond and Randy and Jerry up in the upper level of Belmont. So loud, and as you guys know, there's that overhang at Belmont, and you could not hear a thing. So our audio technician, Wendell Stevens, who mixes Sunday Night Football and every big show, closed Jerry and Randy's mics and only left Tom's open so that you could even hear Tom. And Randy, to this day, thinks I told our
this is a great story.
Our production team to close everyone's mic, including Randy's.
Well, no, let's finish that story. Let's finish that story, okay? So we had to lay out, as we should have, because it was an unbelievable scene at Belmont Park, and Tom and Rob did a great job. Tom Hammond and Rob in orchestrating the whole layout thing and let the moment breathe and all that. Well, then it came time for the announcers to talk, and so Tom said something. And then Jerry said something. And then I said, I've been in a lot of sporting events in my life, Super Bowls, etc. And I've never seen ever a crowd reaction like this. And then I waited a couple seconds, and then Tom Hammond jumped in, and he said, "You know, I've been to a lot of sporting events in my life. I've been to Super Bowls. I've never heard a crowd reaction exactly like this." And I thought, wow, that's odd that Tom would say exactly the same thing that I said right after I said it. And then I got home, and my wife said, "How come you didn't say anything for like the first 10 minutes after the race was over?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" I did. I said, "Yeah, the Super Bowl and crowd reaction." And he said, No, you didn't say a word. You were totally silent." Well, so as it turns out, they accidentally left my mic off instead of turning it
Not
back
accidentally.
on.
No,
Well, not accidentally. Okay.
So
I'm giving Rob.
It was only to at least hear Tom, but Randy, I remember getting your text message the next day. I was in this euphoric state, having a chance to do a Triple Crown and being a part of some Triple Crowns that did not take place, attempts, and I saw that and I said, "Man, I thought we were friends, man. I thought we were friends."
I said, "You didn't trust me. You didn't trust me to lay out."
That's
So
what
you turned my
you
mic
did.
off.
That's exactly what you said. Exactly.
When
By the
Justify
way, hey,
was
speaking of Tom Hammond, I know this is your time. I got a call from Tom, and I know what this whole thing is about and the great money you guys are raising for charity. And the world we're living in right now, Tom called me out of the blue. I haven't talked to Tom in maybe a month, just to see how I'm doing and how my family's doing. And I'm so lucky to be a part of the horse racing team. And obviously Tom was a fixture, a pioneer with our first ever Breeders' Cup. And it was just great to hear from him today. So again, this is a crazy world we're living in right now, but nice that it's bringing a lot of us closer together.
Unbelievable guy.
Yeah.
thank goodness for technology so we can.
Yeah, absolutely. And just thinking of Triple Crowns, and you've been lucky enough now to be behind the steering wheel for 2 Triple Crown winners, American Pharoah and then Justify, Rob. We have to suppress our excitement a little bit on air. In the truck, even more so. You have to let the ice go through your veins essentially at the moment of highest intensity. How on earth? I think we're going to see a bit of footage of you in the gallery during Justify's race. How on earth do you keep your emotions in check at times of such high intensity?
Well, during the race itself, the preparation, all of the planning has all been done, and the race as it unfolds, that's the easiest part of the show. It's everything leading up to it that's hard, and every second is discussed.
Tito Rosso is second.
Let's take a look at this. This is Rob and the director Drew Esikoff in the trailer just before the finish of the Belmont Stakes.
There we go, Drew. Maybe again. And Huffberg trying to run him down. Vito Rosso is fourth, but 16 to go.
Got it. There we go, boys.
Is still there. Justify from Gronkowski.
How about Gronk?
Perfect. And now
just lay out, guys. Lay out. Nothing to say. Lay out and lay out some more.
22.
Ready 13. Ready 13. Take 13. Ready 3. And take 3. Scope. Ready font 1. Insert. Ready 22. Clear.
Lay out.
Ready 22. Take 22. Make your move. Ready 3. Clear on resolve. Set 3. And ready 3. Resolve 3. Ready 13. And take 13.
We got the outrider
ready
camera
8, hold 8. Ready 8. Take 8, push. Ready 5. Take 5.
See the outrider,
now
let me know.
preview 53.
Have look back.
Is that hitting the horse?
That's it.
Ready
Yep.
53.
Lay out.
And take 53.
Track the mic.
Look at him.
Look at him.
Congratulations, Mike.
I love that.
Wow.
I could watch that over and again.
Layout. I mean, I remember.
Layout's a TV term. Just don't talk. It was pretty similar for the first one with American Pharoah, but that was a really cool moment. And just again, a horse race is a massive studio show, disguised as a live sporting event, and you get these 2 minutes of action every 45 minutes or so, and really that's the only time you can really take a breath and just cover a sporting event. But that was awesome, and the team did an incredible job.
I mean, incredible to see how calm and relaxed you guys are when we know.
It's not always like that, Britt. It's not always like that.
So do we have another quick Do we have another video of you guys going crazy?
If you had a video of our control room from the Derby last year for those 22 minutes, it was a little louder, just a little louder.
Yeah. And we are so beautifully insulated from all of it. It's lovely. All you get is occasionally, go.
My old boss, Dick Ebersol, described sports television production the following way. It's like watching a beautiful swan or a duck in the water. Above water, very calm and graceful. Below water, the feet are pedaling all the way. You don't see that, and that's what TV production is. You know, it's you hope you don't see that, or know what went wrong or how it happened, and that's really what we do for a living.
And one thing that's always fascinated me, Rob, is that producer-director relationship, where you can almost finish each other's sentences. You get to know each other so well.
Yeah, and listen, I'm so lucky to work with a couple of the best in the business, and Drew Esikoff, who directs Sunday Night Football, and Pierre Moussa, who directs Notre Dame football and figure skating and gymnastics. And it takes a lot of time together, like Jerry and Randy, who I call Bert and Ernie. You know, it just the rhythm of how each person thinks, what, you think they're going to want and want to say or want to go to. It really is. It's reps and just it's a well choreographed dance that requires a lot of practice and a lot of reps.
Well, you guys were talking about the preparation that Jerry and I do, and Jerry can attest to the fact that Rob's preparation, by the time he gets to Churchill Downs, makes ours look like nothing.
Well, I don't know about that. It's an event I think about every day of the year, and it's a really hard one to put together, considering how casual the fan base is. But I love it. I love the sport, and I've been lucky to be a part of the Derby since 2001. So it's a great event. And by the way, my favorite event besides Pharaoh's Triple Crown win was the Breeders' Cup Classic that year. And what an unbelievable way for a horse to go out. And, I was talking to Mike Tirico about this. Justify was a great horse. It was cool to see another Triple Crown. But the fact that Pharaoh raced again up in Saratoga and then went out an unbelievable winner at the Breeders' Cup, that race to me is probably the coolest horse race I've been a part of for me.
Yeah.
Well, Rob, we're going to keep you and bring in some other producers. But before we let Bert and Ernie go, you two are going to be busy on Saturday. Fill us in a little bit what's going on for both of you in regards to the Arkansas Derby and, of course, NBC's coverage of the Kentucky Derby date.
Randy?
All right, Jerry.
So we're going to be guest analysts with TVG, courtesy of through NBC Sports. And we're going to join the crew and cast of TVG to analyze and then set up and analyze post-race the two divisions of the Arkansas Derby as well as the Oaklawn Handicap sandwiched in between. Basically what we do on NBC, but we're doing it for TVG.
I'm thrilled. I get to throw to Jerry Bailey. So it's kind of like a bit of normalcy.
Hey guys, before they go though, Britt, and again, I speak for every NBC and the NBC Sports Group. It has been so cool developing a great partnership with TVG over the last 6 to 8 weeks, and Kevin Grigsby and Kip Levin have been awesome, and this is one of the only sports running right now, and they came to us and said, hey, how can we help? And the whole approach, the way TVG has done their shows has become much more broad for a more common racing fan and less about the gaming aspect, and I hope we continue to develop this relationship even further moving forward.
Well, I know that the feeling is mutual. So really looking forward to having both Jerry and Randy on those shows. And thank you guys for joining us. It's unique. It's obviously very different than what we would normally be doing right now, but it's still fun. So thank you both.
You got it.
Randy, Jerry, take care. Thanks so much.
Rob, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, you're staying put because we're going to be joined by some more production titans from the NBC crew. Look at that. Amy Zimmerman, legend. Lindsay Shanzer, Royal Ascot producer extraordinaire. Billy Matthews, the man who keeps us all sane at all times of the year. Ames, I've got to come to you for how long have you been associated with the NBC team?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah,
since 1988, which it was before Lindsay was born.
That may be true.
I think it was true.
So, Amy, you posted this the other day that for 20 years you've been going to Churchill Downs this week. How different does this feel for you, having been there for so many years, and this tradition?
I try really hard not to think about it because it makes me very sad. It's less about the tradition and more about the people. And the people that I sit with in that truck and on that, in that trailer are some of my dearest and closest friends. And it really is a once a year family reunion.
What is it about?
What's special about this group?
Yeah,
that group.
Go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just going to ask Amy, what is it about the sport of horse racing that has kind of sustained you in this industry? Because you've produced so many different sports. You've been involved in Olympics and equestrianism for NBC and other networks as well. What is it about horse racing that's kept you in this business?
It's going to sound trite, but it's absolutely true. I'm the little 7-year-old girl that fell in love with horses, and I've never stopped. I was 11 years old when Secretariat won the Triple Crown, and it was the greatest thing in the world. And he's, a part of my life every single day because I get to work with these great people.
And you're living it and breathing it every day in California as well in your role at Santa Anita. How challenging has the last few weeks been for you?
It's been a very challenging last 14 months.
Yes.
The last couple of weeks have been very tough, but we're working real hard to get back open. And we put the condition book out for Santa Anita today. So hopefully, God willing, the COVID continues to hit the metrics that it is in LA County, and we'll be back up and running on May 15th.
I can speak from a personal standpoint, and my father, who's at Santa Anita, that was just really wonderful news, not only for him, but for all of his employees too, and they understand the challenges that have been faced in Southern California, in Northern California, and pretty much across the nation in trying to get racing back up and running again. Billy Matthews, what's the drink of choice? I see you.
He's got two.
Double fisting it.
I'm here, Billy.
Billy, you're
muted.
unmuted.
Billy, you might be muted because you got your hands on the two drinks.
Cheers, Billy. Yeah.
Cheers. Cheers.
We
can't hear you, Billy.
Oh, we can hear Lindsay. That's the main thing. Good evening, Linz.
Nick, how are you? Cheers. Britt,
Lynn,
everyone.
how
else?
are you? Where are you in the world right now?
I'm in New York City, where I live.
And how is it there?
It's interesting. It's good to be home. I was away for a couple weeks. Glad to be back, kind of in a sentimental way. There's good and bad. I'm definitely in my apartment for all hours of the day on some days, and maybe 22 hours of the day at the least on other days. So I definitely spend a lot of time inside, but there's some good things. I'm comfortable here. I'm lucky to live half a block from Central Park. So if I do need to get out, I put on my face mask like everybody else and go take a walk, longer walks than I'm used to or that I usually take. But it's good. There's a nice thing that you may have heard of that happens at 7:00 every night. You can hear the cheers just sort of rising up all around New York, and I hear it even in my small neighborhood and everywhere around the city. It's happening, so that's kind of nice. But
yeah, we have the same here in London. 8:00 on actually tonight, Thursday night, 8:00. Everyone goes out and a few people pots and pans and foghorns and people singing, and it's a great sense of community, even in pretty dark times.
It really is, yeah. So that's New York.
And how about the show this Saturday? Because you've been working with Rob and Amy and Billy on this show for Saturday.
Yeah, it definitely changed in terms of what we kind of initially thought it was going to be and to what it's going to be now, which is hopefully something that people really like. It's primarily a look back at the first leg of American Pharoah's run to the Triple Crown, which we all remember was awesome and serves the bulk of the 3 hours. But the rest of it, we're going to bring in some familiar faces, Bob Baffert and Mike Smith, chat with Mike Tirico. We are looking into American Pharoah at Coolmore, who is also going to take a look back at his race from 2015, which is going to be pretty fun. And then, we'll just, Jerry and Randy, as they mentioned, are going to be a part of the show and chat a little bit about the state of horse racing, look at the Arkansas Derby. And the coolest piece, I think, is that Churchill Downs, Nick, you're familiar with this, has commissioned a virtual simulation featuring the 13 Triple Crown winners running at Churchill Downs the length of the Kentucky Derby, and we're going to see who is the greatest of them all. And there's a charitable component. You can donate to COVID-19 relief, and Churchill's going to match up to $1 million. So some cool things to come. I think it's worth a watch, but I'm biased.
Which is
that's incredible, because it's so many horses that people are familiar with too. You know, the 13 Triple Crown winners, and everyone's going to have an opinion of who they think is going to win. It creates a great discussion, and it's all for a good cause, of course. So looking forward to that on NBC. Billy Matthews, are you with us?
Oh
No.
No. Part of me thinks he's not actually talking to us.
Happy birthday, Billy.
Part of me thinks his kids have his computer.
Oh, no.
Rob, you might be able to, or I'll pitch this to you and describe what is it about this week and the lead up to this week for the entire team that makes it perhaps unlike any other sport that you've covered?
Well, for me, it's just the biggest show I'm a part of besides the Super Bowl. And just, you know, you're covering, we do 30 hours of coverage across the Triple Crown. 16 of those take place in Louisville for about 48 minutes of actual race action. And planning what goes in between those 48 minutes takes a long time. And every part of our company at NBC and Comcast lean into an event like the Derby and want a piece of it. So if there's a movie coming out, if there's a new primetime show coming out, and then their sales team will sell a million really cool things you got to integrate, and then you want to tell great stories. And it, as Amy knows, I don't sleep very much at all to begin with anyway. That week I don't sleep at all, and it's just, you can plan for everything, but as you guys all know, when those gates open and 20 horses come out, anything can and usually does happen, as we saw last year. That's as weird as it gets, but that happens at the very end of a very long week or a long month if you're planning like we do for the show, and you've got to be at your absolute sharpest in the last 15 minutes of a very long day. And that to me is what makes it so different, and the fact that there are 17 announcers that are a part of it, and trying to figure out, where they all are and how they move, and how you get them on the air. And it's the hardest show I've ever been a part of, but also the greatest show I've ever been a part of.
A lot of work, but I'm sure incredibly rewarding. Lindsay, you put in some long hours in regards to Royal Ascot. It was such, Nick, I don't know if you'll agree with me here, but one of my favorite weeks was doing that show with you and with Lindsay.
I agree that it was one of your favorite weeks, yeah.
And not one of yours, because you had to work with me every day, right?
Of course, it's always
Billy
one of
is
my
back.
Always one of my favorites. He's there.
Yeah.
Well, truth be told, Rob closed my mic. He wanted me to lay out, and I started to talk. And well, truth be told, I got this NBC computer issued, and I'm a Mac person. And when I hit my mic, so now I learned. Okay, I'm good. Continue on about Ascot.
But all the great things you said that we didn't hear, Lindsay said them for you anyway. So it all works out okay.
Are we keeping you up past your bedtime, Nick?
Way past.
What? Yeah, what time is it out there?
It's like what? It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Listen, it's time like the days of the week at the moment are a sort of indistinct concept.
We talked to the owner. They're going to keep the club open late.
and Brittany are the only ones in actual happy hour right now.
4:43. It's a great time.
I wanted to ask Amy, because I'm just sort of sensing that she'd have a bit more control over these situations than me. Ames, how are you getting on with the homeschooling?
My son is doing great. I am failing 5th grade, and I'm going to have to repeat a year. No doubt whatsoever. The highlight of it was when Henry was taking his spelling test about a week and a half ago. I was practicing with his words, and Catherine yelled from the other room. She says, "What word are you trying to tell him to spell?" And I told him, and she says, "That's not how it's spelled." So yeah, I'm failing 5th grade.
It's amazing because my kids come in, and I keep thinking, they're definitely much harder now than it was when we were 10. Much harder. Of course, it's not. We're just kind of like, our brains have just all sort of shriveled into mess, a horse racing ridden mess since then, I think.
Well, I can back time a show, but I cannot multiply 3 columns worth of numbers.
Billy, how's life in New Jersey at the moment?
It's great. I've learned a lot about fractions. I've learned a lot about carrying the one. I've uttered this phrase, if I'm going to give you the answers, please listen to me. Yeah, it's good. Everything's good. Sorry, everybody else good?
Yeah. 2 thumbs up.
Sure.
Wait, cheers, right?
Yeah,
cheers. Now, Billy was the man who devised the NBC horse racing talent trivia quiz this evening.
Give it to Amy.
He can't take part.
Ames. So
give it to Amy. Let's see how she does.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Or Rob.
Yeah.
Have Amy and Rob play each other.
All right.
All right.
So I'll let you ask Rob and Amy and Linz a few of these questions.
I know most of the answers, so I won't answer
Okay.
if I know it.
I don't have it.
Okay. Let's go with who split a $2 bet with Joe DiMaggio?
Don't know this one.
Okay, so then you can all answer. Rob?
I don't know.
Who's your guess?
I
give me a name.
My guess is Moss, but that's the only guess I've got.
Okay. Lynn?
I guess,
Someone who would have been
I guess
up
Moss
in
too.
Millionaire's Row. Maybe at the Breeders' Cup. Bernier?
Okay. Rob?
I guess Moss, but that wouldn't make sense in Arkansas. I don't know.
It is Larry Colmus.
Ah.
Wow.
Yeah, Larry Colmus split a $2 bet with Joe DiMaggio. Okay, who has... Ooh, there's so many good ones on here. Okay. Whose former job was rock and roll disc jockey?
I don't know this one either. Billy, you added questions since we talked.
These are good ones.
Kenny Rice.
Yes.
Sounds like it might be
Yeah,
right.
that was right.
Yes. Kenny Rice.
Could you envision that? Oh.
Kenny Rice and I spent 10 days in Tryon, North Carolina for the World Equestrian Games. It was a 2-hour drive to and from the venue. We got to know each other very well.
This one's great. Which announcer was suspended from his job for hitting a $750,000 pick six?
Eddie Olczyk.
No.
No?
No.
That's Brandy Moss.
What me?
Yes.
Randy, it was 750, Brady. You sure that number's right?
Well, that's what Billy Matthews gave me.
That's what Randy told me.
All right. All right.
I don't understand this question, but I'm going to read it anyway. Who rode with Steph Curry?
Rode with Steph Curry.
Donna
In a
Brothers?
car. Who
In a
drove
car,
with?
right?
Yes.
Oh, in a
It's
car.
It's the same person that says, "I'll give it away." The same person who said, "Here's a trivia about me. I know least amount of horse racing among all the talent."
Ahmed Farouk.
When? Was there a backstory?
I guess they shared a car together. They were driving back when he worked in San Francisco. They used to ride together somewhere. I don't know.
Who wanted to be an archaeologist?
Wow.
Same person that wanted to work for Red Bull, giving drinks out, right? As a Red Bull person.
Yeah, same person.
I have no idea.
Any
So
takers?
separate question.
It's
Highland, do you know?
There she is. Top left.
Really?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I am fascinated by Egyptian culture.
Weren't you a
and
theater major at USC?
dinosaurs. No, I was a business major at USC. I wanted to be an actress for as long as I can remember, but I'm so interested in archaeology. I would have loved to have been an archaeologist, digging up dinosaur bones, putting it all together, or artifacts from Egypt.
I'll get
Right.
you
Kind
a
of the
rock.
same thing.
This
Like,
is
the
for my
same thing
daughter.
like
Chloe.
handicapping a race.
I'll get you a rock.
Oh, look at that.
I should have put that on there too. Who had a rock collection when they were little?
I like that.
Yeah, yeah, right?
I love being with you guys right now, but I think I've got to go to bed. But before we do,
We have a bonus shot.
we've got a
Yes.
bonus shot from Mark.
We'll
And
wrap it up with this.
It's specially customized for this show, Cocktails and Conversations. Mark Tubridy from the 21 Club in Manhattan is going to make us this, Mark.
We're doing a fun shot tonight. It's called Bombs Away. Now, you guys know much more about sort of racing and betting terms than I do, but someone told me that a bomb is sort of a long shot in betting. So we're going to try to embody that tonight. And I'm going to show you the finished product, and then I'm going to show you how to make it. This is called it's a layered style of shot. I don't know if you can see, but it has 3 separate layers.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa. So the technical name for that style of drink is called Pousse Café. It's an older style, but really what it does is it takes advantage of the different densities of spirits. So certain things are more alcoholic, some are more kind of sugary and condensed. So what we want to do is start with the heaviest liquor or liqueur on the bottom, and then build it up gradually and kind of layer the spirits on top of one another. So for the Breeders' Cup, we had to have something purple. So we're going to start with some creme de cassis, which is a blackcurrant liqueur. Now, if you guys are doing this at home, I don't know if you're going to be able to see me layering it, but I'm going to show you each step of the way. We've got our empty sort of shooter shot glass. We're going to start by just pouring this directly in, maybe just under a third of the way, okay? And now the next part I'm going to have to do down here, but I'm going to show you what we're going to try to do here. We're going to take, anytime we layer drinks, we want to take a stirring spoon and rest it on the inside of the glass, like so, and then pour our spirit over the spoon so that it's gently dripping on top of the next one. We don't want it to splash into it because then the 2 spirits might mix together, and the whole point is to kind of layer it.
Step 2 is where I would mess up.
Yeah, you can do it. It's actually a lot easier than it seems, but the main thing is that we want to get the right spirits in the right order. So creme de cassis, this blackcurrant liqueur, is very syrupy, it's very sweet, it's delicious though, but that definitely needs to be on the bottom. Our next one is going to be Bailey's. So even with, I'm still not doing well with the camera here, but Bailey's, of course, is using the Irish car bomb, so that's kind of working its way into the theme here. Now we're going to go ahead and layer that over the spoon very slowly. I'll show you in just a second, but that's going to create the second layer that we want. Now, when we finish this drink, hopefully the taste, when we shoot it all together, is going to be almost like a berry flavored milkshake. We've got the cream from the Bailey's, we've got the creme de cassis. All right, so this is 2 layers in, guys. So if you did it correctly, you should have 2 distinct layers. Creme de cassis on the bottom, Bailey's in the middle. There's actually a really fascinating chart of the specific densities of liqueurs and spirits, the sort of thing that only I geek out about. But it lists the different densities compared to water so that you can figure out how to layer these. So look that up online if you're interested in this style of shot, specific gravities or specific densities of spirits, and you can figure out how to layer your own sort of Pousse Café shots here. So finally, we're going to do the same technique over the back of the spoon. We're going to do it with some Tito's Handmade vodka. Now, this isn't going to come out completely clear like the vodka. It will be a little milky as it slightly mixes with the Bailey's, but I think it looks really nice anyway. All right, so if you did that one correctly, this is that last layer. Let me hold it from the bottom.
I love it. Bombs away.
That's incredible.
Bombs away.
It's making a shot look enticing.
Yeah,
90% of the time they do not.
Absolutely. So guys, this is all together. 1, 2, 3. Bombs away. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, Mark.
Cheers. Well,
Mark
bombs away.
Tubridy, our mixologist extraordinaire from the 21 Club in Manhattan. Mark, we will see you next week. Thank you very much indeed.
Guys, thanks,
Mark.
Thank you, Mark. We're all going to have to go when the Belmont is up and running. Or when we're all in New York again, we're going to have to go to the 21 Club when we can.
By the way, Britt, we got to go there, but I was talking to our director, Dreskoff, yesterday. When we can, he and I are going to get takeout from King Umberto's in New York, and then go to Belmont and get our entire production team there that can be there, socially distanced in the grandstand, and we'll have King Umberto's for everyone there.
You know, I've never had King Umberto's.
What?
I know. I've never had King Umberto's. Everyone raves about it. Add it to the list.
You got to go.
Well, you were
Guys,
invited.
it was so much fun. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't.
Of course you were.
No, actually, I think I was in bed at like 6 o'clock, and you guys were all at King Umberto's. You know, I was doing my due diligence of getting my work done. Everyone knows how stressed out I get.
I forgot, Rob. I forgot you mentioned to me not to bring that up around Britney. I forgot.
Yeah, don't invite her. Do not invite Britt.
I see how it is. Nick's got to go to bed.
All right, Nick, go to bed. Hey, happy Thurby Day rap party.
Happy
Thurby Day.
Happy Derby Day to everybody, and fingers crossed September is a goer. And
Hope so.
And that Mike Tirico looks after the trophy from now until then.
Exactly.
If it goes missing, we have documentation of where it was.
Its next stop is to the engraver to scratch out May 2nd and put SEPT.5. There's no room for September, so it's heading to the engraver next.
Well, you couldn't write it, but that's a sentiment that could equally be applied to just about everything in the last 7 or 8 weeks. The most important thing is we're all still smiling and we're healthy and happy, and families likewise. And I hope that applies to everybody who's been with us for the last 2 hours or so. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget you can donate to 3 wonderful charities, and you've helped Breeders' Cup raise over $30,000 for these charities already. breederscup.com/donate, supporting the wonderful work that's done by the backstretch workers across the United States, many of whom are in significant financial need at the moment. So thank you so much for that, and also to Mark for his support, and for your support of the bartenders across the United States as well, virtually all of whom are not able to work at the moment. Thank you for joining Cocktails and Conversations. Thank you, Rob, Lindsay, Billy, Amy.
Thank you to all of you for putting up with us.
We miss you guys.
Miss you guys.
Miss you.
Good to see you guys.
Watch
Bye, guys.
Saturday,
Thank you so
3 to
much.
6 on NBC, and then NBCSN and TVG 6 to 8. So thank you guys. Have a great Derby Saturday.
Yes.
That's the last
Happy
word.
Derby Saturday.
We're out of here. Night. See you next week.
Bye-bye.